Okay, so today we're diving deep into
Deep.
Yeah, deep into a YouTube video transcript.
Right.
And it's all about the future of Social Security. And it's got some pretty wild predictions, actually.
It does.
And some pretty sharp criticisms, too. You know, the video is from a channel called Social Security Disability Benefit Videos, SSI. ssdi.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get a feel for the audience they're speaking to, right?
Right.
And the title itself is a question. It's Social Security's Shocking Future. Are Politicians Clueless?
Okay, so
Yeah.
getting right to the point.
Exactly. And that's what we want to figure out. Like, what are the biggest anxieties being talked about online? And what could these potential changes mean, like, for, you know, you and me and everyone listening?
I think what's really interesting right off the bat is that this video isn't coming from some big fancy policy think tank or anything.
Right.
It's coming from a platform that's clearly focused on people who are already receiving benefits.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like a direct line to the anxieties and the hopes and all that.
Yeah, so they're not pulling any punches.
No, not at all.
All right, well, let's jump right in because the video starts with a really radical idea.
Oh, okay.
It does.
Okay.
The creator basically predicts that in the future, traditional Social Security benefits, as we know them, are going to be totally replaced by a one-time settlement.
Oh.
So you get like a lump sum payment.
A lump sum instead of monthly.
Instead of those monthly checks.
Wow.
And along with that, there'd be a universal basic income, or UBI, as like a safety net.
Okay.
So the idea is you'd be in charge of managing and investing that settlement yourself.
Oh, so it's like a huge shift in responsibility.
Yeah. Huge responsibility and risk.
Yeah.
You know, because now it's on you.
Yeah, for sure.
And the market could crash. You could make bad decisions.
Right, or you could
make great decisions.
Yeah, you could be, you know, a Wall Street whiz and
exactly.
Yeah, turn it into a fortune.
Exactly. So it's like this high risk, high reward scenario.
And that's the big question, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the trade-off that we need to think about is like, okay, so individual control versus the security of the system that's already in place.
Right. Because right now, you know, you pay into it your whole working life
Yes.
and then you get those guaranteed checks.
Yeah. That's like
every month.
Yeah, it's a promise, right?
It's a promise.
Yeah.
But this would totally upend that.
Really change the game.
Big time. Okay, so that's just the beginning.
Okay.
Then the transcript shifts gears and gets into political motivations.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It starts looking at things that happened during the Trump administration.
Okay.
Specifically, actions taken at the Social Security Administration, or SSA.
Right.
So you have Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, he's a Democrat, and he's saying that things like field office closures and staff reductions weren't just random cost-cutting measures. He suggests they were deliberate attempts to weaken the agency, to basically make it less effective.
So the argument is that these actions were politically motivated.
Yeah, to set the stage for something else.
And that something else would be?
Well, they use the term hollow it out.
Okay.
And the concern here is that this could be like a prelude to privatization.
Oh, so bringing in more private companies to manage things.
Right, to have more private sector involvement in retirement income.
Which again raises that same question about like
control.
Individual versus collective.
Exactly.
And the role of government.
Right, and you know, this part really highlights how differently people view these things.
Totally, yeah.
Based on their political beliefs.
You see that all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is the video creator.
Yeah.
They seem genuinely surprised by this strategy, if that's what it was.
Really?
They point out how many people rely on Social Security.
Yeah, millions.
Millions.
Yeah.
And the VA, the Department of Veterans Affairs,
right.
They say messing with those services could be a huge political risk.
Yeah, alienate a lot of voters.
Totally. They even joke it would be less risky to go after like the IRS or the EPA.
Interesting, because those agencies?
Right, they're not as popular.
Not as much direct impact on...
Not on everyday people's lives.
Right, everyday people's lives, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very practical perspective.
Yeah, like a pure numbers game almost.
Totally.
Interesting.
Okay, but then things take another turn.
Oh boy.
Yeah, hold on tight, because now we're getting into some controversial comments.
Okay.
This time from Commerce Secretary Howard Altblug.
Right.
Apparently on a podcast, he said that his mother-in-law wouldn't even miss a Social Security payment.
Wow, okay.
And that only people committing fraud are the ones complaining about services.
That's a pretty bold statement.
The video creator, they don't mince words. They call it a shitty thing to say.
Yeah, I can see why that would rub people the wrong way.
And it really raises questions about how well some politicians understand Social Security.
Right, like, do they get how it works?
Yeah, and do they get how vital it is for so many people?
And the struggles that people face.
Exactly. And the creator makes a really important point. They say we need to educate politicians on the basics of the program before we even start talking about solutions.
That makes sense.
Right, because how can you fix something you don't understand?
Right, if you don't know how it works, how are you going to...
Exactly.
Come up with a
plan.
Yeah, a workable plan.
So, just from this one YouTube video, we're seeing so much uncertainty about the future of Social Security.
It's really fascinating.
We've got these radical overhauls being proposed.
Yeah, like that lump sum idea.
Exactly. We've got worries about political maneuvering.
Right, people using it for their own agendas.
And then this fundamental lack of understanding.
Yeah, among some pretty powerful people.
Exactly. And it's all being viewed through these different political lenses.
And it's all going to affect people,
It's going to affect all of us.
Like everyone listening and their families.
So this really leaves us with a lot to think about.
It does. And it makes you wonder,
given all this uncertainty, these different predictions and interpretations, what's our responsibility?
Yeah, what should we be doing?
Like, what can we do to stay informed?
Right.
And to engage in these conversations? Because these are decisions that are going to affect us all.
They are. And it's easy to feel powerless.
Yeah.
But, knowledge is power.
It is.
And having these conversations is a good first step.
Absolutely. And I think what we need to ask ourselves now is... what specific questions do we have about Social Security? Like, after hearing all this, what are we worried about? What are we hopeful about?
What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, what keeps you up at night? And where do we go to get those questions answered?
Yeah, find those reliable sources.
Yeah.
And make our voices heard.
Absolutely.
So keep thinking about it. Keep asking those questions.
Keep learning.
Keep learning.
Yeah.
And we'll keep diving deep into these topics.
That's right.
To help you make sense of it all.
We'll be here.
We'll be here.
Every step of the way. All right, until next time.
See you then.